Hey everybody, going to do my first round of just drop-in filter testing on my 25 MT07. If you take your MT07 to the dyno, to your local dyno guy, and he hems and haws about hooking up the tack lead, it's just the gray wire here on this front plug, easiest way to get to it. And this panel pops off in a couple minutes if he's not being too lazy. That's a good way to get your torque reading. So initially I'm just going to do the drop-in filter testing. We're going to test the DNA and the Sprint against the stock one with the stock lid. And the stock lid's much improved over the old lid. See, it's got some round and some height, and it just definitely flowing better than the old lid did. I can tell by the way the bike doesn't fall on its face anymore. So let's see. Let's test the filters back to back to back and see what we get. I will eventually. I got a Horde intake and waiting on TST to get their intake. So after I do a bunch of exhaust testing with just the drop-in filters, I will then add the Horde and the TST, test them, and then I'll have to figure out which one works best, and so that I can go and map out all these exhausts that I'm doing now with that then intake. So a lot of work, but it's the only way to do it properly, and that's the only way I do things. So let's see what we got. So the filter, a little pain in the butt, and I see it's not bolted down, but if we take everything for the back of the tank off, we can lift it up and get to the four. There's just four Phillips head screws that hold down the lid. So we'll just replace them and we'll see what we get. So this is the stock filter. It's got the mesh over it. It's a paper filter that when it's dirty, you just toss it out and replace it with a new one. The first one we're going to test against it is the DNA. And it's a typical oiled filter. It will perform much like any of the other oiled filters like a K&N or any other oiled filters. So I don't find the need usually to test all the different oiled filters because I've always found they perform pretty much the same. So let's get this DNA up and see how it does versus the stock. Next up for testing is the Sprint. It's a dry filter, so it's a little different than all the other filters on the market. When you wash it, you just can blow it out. This one's harder to blow out from the backside with compressed air, but you can wash it, just put it back in. No oiling needed. One of the things I don't like about oiled filters is the first time you clean them, or every time you clean them, it's hard to know or impossible to know how much oil to put on the filter. Put too much, doesn't flow well. Put too little, doesn't filter well. So let's test the Sprint and see what we get. It is worth noting that on both of these filters, there's a little raised rib, and that fits into the lid, And then so you want to make sure that you orient everything because this faces forward in the bike. And so you could potentially put the filter in this way instead of this way, and it's not going to seal and be good. So make sure that's the way you orient the DNA filter. And to the dyno runs, which are pretty unexciting. So you can see, if you really look hard, you can see the red line of the Sprint is a little above the other two filters in most places, but absolutely nothing to write home about or anything that would be worth, in my opinion, changing out the filter ahead of time if it needed to be replaced. So if it was me, when my filter needed replacing, I'd replace it with the Sprint, but otherwise I would just leave my filter alone. Now we know the airbox is the huge choke point on these motors, and when I do get it dialed in and test for the Horde, and I'm sure the TST airbox will work very well also, we'll see really nice improvements in basically the whole rev range. But as it is, leave those air filters stock. So thanks guys for watching. Remember to hit that subscribe and like button for more motorcycle related content. I'll keep this MT07 testing going.